My name is Scott Kiefer, and I'm a lecturer in history and the program leader for BA Honors History.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kirsten Skog and I'm a senior lecturer at Bournemouth University.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Ramsey and I'm a lecturer in modern history at Bournemouth University.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kate Turkanian. I'm a lecturer of modern history at Bournemouth University.
I would like to say that there was a grand plan for me becoming a lecturer in history at a university, but that just wouldn't be true.
Well, I've always had an interest in history. I think history has always been everywhere in my life. I have loads of stuff at home, things I've collected over the years, hangers from my old granddad's shops, love old clothes, vintage clothes, hats.
I guess, I've always seen history as a way of understanding the world around us. I've been drawn to international relations and world affairs, and understanding history is one way of getting to know people's experiences and how the world has developed into the way it has now.
Well, I studied history because I enjoyed history, but I also had very inspirational teachers that encouraged me to study history.
In the end, I chose history because I found it really interesting, but also it was a degree that I knew was widely recognised as providing key skills and qualities that employers really value, such as the ability to analyse and evaluate large quantities of information, to work independently and to work with others, to negotiate, to debate and to problem solve.
What do people say about the choice of studying history? I've always been very supportive. I mean, history is a wonderful discipline to pursue for a broad range of careers by developing skills in research and in communicating in a variety of forms. It's a very transferable degree.
So when I said that I was going to study history, often people would say things to me like, "What are you going to do with that?" Or, "All those names and dates, I can never remember them."
My friends and family were all really pleased for me. My brother and I were the first people in our family to go to university, and so our parents and grandparents were just really proud that we'd worked really hard and that now we were going to university to study the subjects that really interested us.
Well, of course, history isn't really about just learning names and dates. It's about learning how to be analytical and a good writer, and that's what you can learn as a historian.
You will never be short of small talk with people who you meet. It's a subject that most people have studied before, and because the content is so vast, you're never short of common historical interests to chat about with other people. The most useful and the most important thing that my history degree taught me was not just how to think critically about the past, but how to think critically about the world around me.
So as far as how I've used history, as I said, I had an interest in world affairs and international relations, and I did a degree in history, and then went on and studied international law, and worked briefly for a firm representing international clients.
Looking back to when I was 18 years old, I think I was quite naive, but studying history taught me to think differently and to question the world around me.
Well, I've worked in many different industries. I worked in broadcasting, I worked in museums. I put all my talents that I've learned studying history to good use in many different fields.
I mean, as far as the role that history plays in contemporary society, look at any contemporary problem and try to understand the roots of it. History is going to be at the forefront of this.
Very often people misunderstand what history is and why it's important. They think it's just about important facts, dates and events, putting all these into a chronology. But history is so much more than that. There's a famous quote, often attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte, that says history is the version of past events that people have decided to agree upon. Facing up to this is essentially what studying history at university is all about.
History is around us all the time. People use it as a reference point. Politicians, you hear about it in the media, you see documentary films that talk about the past, and they often relate them to present events. So history is very present in discussions of contemporary issues, and as a historian, you can see where these points are valid or not.
And to try to solve any of the world's problems, getting an understanding of where people have come from and what their experiences have been is essential to actually improving the world around us.
As a historian of sexuality and gender, my job is to understand the strange and unfamiliar ideas, attitudes and mentalities that influence past societies and peoples, and to question how far those ideas still influence us today. For me then, the study of the past is about understanding how systems of power and oppression operated in past societies. It's about understanding why things were the way they were, whilst also appreciating that things could have been different. And this is where history has an inherently critical, perhaps even radical edge, because it's also about realizing that things don't have to be the way they are, and it's about opening up possibilities for change in the present.